to take the first map against Virtus Pro one more time in history, or VP will continue their reign of terror through the preseason, undefeated and looking to sweep with a 3-0 finish. We'll see how it goes on Burn T'Challa.
Perfection demanded, and Virtus Pro, we expect big things from our reigning champions, and presumably the best team in EMEA, but we've seen from Rad's defeat that Group B might not have been the most difficult group, Lennon.
Yeah, and it was interesting because when I looked at Peps initially, like Six looked like the most mechanical player on this team, was incredible on the Phoenix and just any character delivering massive amounts of damage. Pink seemed to be specializing these kind of melee dive characters, whether it's Psylocke or Wolverine or Daredevil, and that's where, you know, melee characters are going to be the most punishable type. But now this team has shifted towards really supporting Pink and all of their ideas, and Six even taking a backseat in being that third strategist, because Six probably has that more expansive hero pool compared to Pink. So I've been liking kind of the evolution of this Peps roster.
All right, looks like it might be the one-sided gambit here for Team Peps. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Well, oh, no, never mind. They've pivoted over onto a Mantis. This is what Vodable was bringing up. Protoss is a very, very adept Mantis player. I think one of our better individual Mantises we have in EMEA definitely has been a standout on Team Peps thus far. But when you're going up against probably Sparker on the Elsa, you're going to need a lot of healing.
And yeah, I think Peps have that identity around the Angela, why they've looked so strong on domination because of that. But Virtus Pro, now that you know that that's on the menu, there are so many counters to Angela, even just starting at the strat line. Anything from a White Fox Luna is going to ruin Frankie's life to anything else in between that could tackle or even isolate the Angela. And as long as you have eyes in your face, you could also just see the Angela coming. And Virtus Pro are a very aware team.
I wouldn't mind seeing a counter protect here onto the Vanguard Deadpool from Virtus Pro. Just making sure that Jojo has everything they need on the Jeff to have that additional viability. I like the pivot onto the ban here for the Ultron, just making sure there's no double damage boost onto whatever avatar of destruction that Team Peps decide to put one of their duelists on. That would likely be probably Six on the Phoenix or Pink on the Human Torch. I have played a very aerial comp previously on Celestial Husk, but I'm not sure if Burning T'Challa is quite as accommodating for such compositions.
And I think even Virtus Pro said in their interviews that like domination is so centered around the first fight, and if it's a triple strat team that's winning that first fight, it is so hard to take it away from them. So just really focusing a lot of these bans on the strategists to make this line as weak as it can, and to maybe persuade teams to running more of the 2-2-2 is always great. But Virtus Pro now have the Daredevil for Phi and Elsa for Sparker. It's almost GG already. Like,
I mean, I don't want to say it, but she's out of line, but she's right.
I'm just honest. You and I have been honest this whole time like that.
Brutally on the disappointed parents approach. I think Team Peps, they definitely have something to work with here. We might even see this Primal Flame team up, which we did actually see get some good value in our previous Museum of Contemplation in our previous matchup. So it's not off the table in particular. I'd love to see Frankie Boxing roll out here with maybe with a Magneto. I'm not sure if it's going to be an early portal here for Team Peps. I'd assume that's going to be the choice.
I don't love Angela on this, except maybe like Warrior Falls, you can make a case for it. It's just such an open part of the map, and you kind of need something that can have more of a presence in the front line, especially when you're running if you were to run an Angela into an Elsa. We've seen in previous series how miserable that is, and Frankie was able to put up like 30,000 damage on Doctor Strange in his last match, so this is a very strong secondary for him, but they don't have the invis, and not having that team up really sucks.
Yeah, so they're going to be relying on the massive amount of healing you can get out of that Cloak and Dagger Loki combination. But Cloaky, an early attempt to the kidnap, but it seems to be a little bit out of time. Virtus Pro have already cleared their way through. They're using the speed boost that Jojo gave over from some of those joyful bubbles.
Now just trying to take shelter, but these walls are pretty much as thin as paper, so not a lot of safe space. Virtus Pro already putting the pressure on, and then Sparker with first blood.
Yep, Protoss the first to fall. Now you're relying just on the Cloak and Dagger for your healing, and Baby Bat's the next to go down. The Devil's Chain is wrapped around the throat of Team Peps, and they've tugged upon it.
And Virtus Pro and Domination are so relentless. Winning that first fight is very important as well, but last time I saw Virtus Pro, and even something like Krakoa, when Nevix is on Venom, As soon as they pounce, the whole team is on the same page. It's like they don't even have to speak. Like, they're just synchronized mentally. Virtus.pro, they've done this for years, from even beyond Marvel Rivals, so it's going to take the best to beat the best. And Team Peps now have Frankie on Angela, which, not ideal, but it's an opportunity creator. If you can catch Virtus.pro not looking, and even getting Saipe off this high ground would be ideal too.
Sonic Pursuit on top of Protoss. Fire ready to roll on down. And once again, Protoss is just instantly annihilated for a second that anything happens. Yeah, Nevix has been taken off the point here by Pink, but you know what? Pink's going to go down with them. Fire's already ready for yet another engage, looking towards the back. IMLK just his back to the cliff, looking cinematic as ever, but unfortunately, it's just a reset.
I did like that Team Peps tried to take the fight at that perimeter. When you have double shove, you have Angela, and you did have Wolverine, but they kind of were the victim of their own game plan. Now it's over 60% from Virtus.pro, and not even, I think, even needing to use ultimates yet. Team Peps are cycling to different things. Daredevil from Pink just trying to battle out. But can you even access the backline of Virtus.pro? They're the ones who are just engaging into you, so it's hard for Peps to counter when they really have to stick to peeling. And 6 is on the Psylocke, so a lot of different choices. Team Peps at least have played this before. Now they're trying to get all the way around Virtus.pro, who are tracking them very carefully.
Oh, Team Peps have actually, they used their Jeff team up early to give everyone a little bit of extra HP. Virtus.pro decided not to engage on those more tanky players, and obviously going to be difficult to survive if you happen to be 6. You just got to get inside of the Eternal Bond, but they've set up on the point for now. Fire's been taken up by Protoss after having bitten off a little more than they could chew. Fincy keeping this point contested on the outside, doesn't have Deadpool in your area anymore, and so is forced to disengage. Going to be a flip in favor of Team Peps. Virtus.pro give that one up with a couple of ultimates to try and play with, and the Feast of the Abyss doesn't get too much off the back of it. Now Drijo coming in with the It's Jeff. There's no healing here for IMLK. 6 just going to try and instantly eviscerate Drijo with the Dance of a Butterfly. It's just the perfect way to use the ultimate. It's well managed here by Team Peps, but now can you let the devil out? Pink is taken inside of their own Jeff for a moment as Protoss tries to kick them in relative safety from the dive that Virtus.pro are ready to proffer over, but now with the point flipped, Team Peps are all hands on deck, moving towards the backside. They can't escape the cumulative dive prowess of the remainder of the Bears, and well, it seems that melee core can't stand up to the Glartrox either, who feasts upon the souls of Team Peps. Frankie Boxing stands on business within the Heaven's Retribution, continually generating that overhealth for themselves, but there's so little time left on the overtime ticks that Frankie Boxing just has to try and rely on the Jeff to stand here and face the doom that Team Virtus.pro are bringing towards them.
Oh, and now another portal, Team Peps. I mean, they're running out of gas, and the best case scenario is building up ults for the next round. It was at 100 to 22, very dominant from Virtus.pro. And I think it's very hard for Team Peps to lock down just how fluid this Virtus.pro team is. A lot of focus goes into Nevix. He pops a symbiotic resilience at the perfect time, and in the blink of an eye, he's just gone. So it's so hard, and you want to chase that down. You want to run Virtus.pro down when they're escaping because you think they're weak. You think there's fear in their eyes, and what's waiting for you is an Apex Predator courtesy of Swagger, the best Elsa in the world. So it's very tough to have this push and pull with Team Peps when there's such a strong backline to Virtus.pro. And you got to appreciate all the different swaps that Team Peps have done. It also sets them behind on the ult economy, which, speaking of which, pretty even going into Warrior Falls here, but Nevix being so close to the Feast of the Abyss, that's going to get people so low for Fi to finish off.
Okay, I don't mind the baby bat swap here to the White Fox to try and counteract some of this fast dive that's coming through from Virtus.pro. Team Peps have made themselves a little bit more elusive when it comes to these early fights where the Loki was getting constantly ganked early on.
First fight important, Virtus.pro. Now, very low ceilings for the Venom. We'll see if Nevix has fun and Fire unleashes.
Oh yeah, the Devil's being let out towards the back, wants to take out their counterpart here. Can you double blind Matt Murdock? The questions that Science is afraid to answer. IMLK frozen up in front of a back line, but still manages to use their symbiotic resilience for a little bit of additional staying power. Fincy looking to try and capture the point early. Pink and 6 have fallen down, so Team Peps will find themselves toothless and evacuated from the objective for Virtus.pro. There should be a cap.
And Nevix was like tickling the backline, and maybe it doesn't result in eliminations, but it forces out cooldowns, and he got even frozen, but it gets the Team Peps backline attention towards Nevix and not the rest of the team. And there's so much health to chunk through along with that symbiotic resilience, and Fi staggers out Pink. What a hunt down!
On top of Sparker, they need to try and shut down this Elsa, but here come the shenanigans from Jeff, giving over extra bonus health to that backline. The Apex Predator sends Frankie boxing towards a briny grave, and indeed he will be filling it from 6 feet under. 6 inside of a healing pool given over by It's Jeff. Can there be a counterplay here coming through from Protoss? It seems like there's a couple of players who might well be caught inside. Is there going to be enough room, though, to try and punish this one is the question. Next to the White Fox, 5 feeling undeterred by the drawn-out claws of the Kumiho herself, and Sparker make sure that I am okay will not be reporting any survivors.
This fight already didn't start off on a good foot for Peps when you lost Pink so early. You also have 2 Vanguards are not their most comfortable heroes. I mean, Team Peps in general just don't run a lot of Venom Dive. And Frankie boxing, not a ton of Van Pool. But they're going to do their best to just try and work around each other's comforts. And Virtus Pro now have It's Jeff. And on a map like this, if you take the fight towards the point, there's a very nice environmental cliff to throw everybody off of. And if things get bad, Saipei's always there.
Inside of a fog, Matt Murdoch sees everything, and Protoss did not see him coming. Righteous Cross gets it done, ready to unleash the devil once more if only they're brave enough to re-engage with little in the way of HP. And instead, they're just going to try and go up against their counterpart, chasing Pink out in a 2 versus 1. It's not exactly fair, but when did Matthew Murdoch ever play fair? Fight takes him out with the Devil's Chain, moving over now towards Frankie boxing, not scared of the HP pool of the Vanguards. Is ready to... Never just like, you know what, I think he's got that one. I'm just going to take a little breather over here.
Pink has been isolated so many times. This is about to be 100-0, barring Pink portal in time. One last second touch, and we'll talk about that later. Can they make the 0 to 100 comeback?
Already halfway, so we'll see how they go. Oh, goodbye. They're off the map. For real, the Glassrock's double. The Vanguards have been sent down to see if the T'Challa's still down there. And, oh my goodness, the Devil's Chain through the portal? Oh, stop it, they're already gone.
Wow. Well, that's a Virtus Pro map for you. 100-0 on Warrior Falls. Only 6 Warriors remain on the orange side. And it's the season for the Polar Bears. I think just mistakes on the Peps side. Now, obviously, you're not confident being on your best heroes. Pink also kept disengaging away from his team. He went towards health packs instead of a strategist. And you know Virtus Pro are not going to let you go tell Cersei it was you. Like, Pink was a victim initially in so many of these fights. And the best looks from Peps have been when they work around Pink. But Pink also needs to work around his team. 9 deaths. That's just how much he was hunted down. And Fi is going to be a top daredevil to try and mirror against. Only 1 death from his side and 7 deaths in total from Virtus Pro. This is them not missing a beat in playoffs.
I mean, Virtus Pro are just so hard to play and ban against, right? Like, you're probably in the chat with your pushing your glasses up your nose, like, why would you let Sparker play Elsa? Well, what's the alternative? Saipei on Gambit? You think that's easier? You think this is a game?
Yeah, it's like, do you want to go up against good team play around the Gambit or want a goated Chad Elsa? And surprisingly, that is a very good Elsa. And not surprisingly, but yeah, you would rather face the Gambit, you would think, but something slips through the cracks. And again, Team Peps are not just playing to stay in the upper bracket, but to really set themselves up for the future, because this is not going to affect your chances into getting stage 1, but this does affect your chances into maybe getting recruited to another team, or if your team even stays together. And it's about being resilient as a team, even when Virtus Pro punches you in the jaw.
I'd love to see Team Peps here lean potentially into the Gambit as their Protect. I don't think they got any use out of the Mantis first Protect. Like, if you're going to play for that Mantis first Protect, that is a very clear signal that you are locked in on 1 duelist, 3 strategists. We are going to hyper pocket 1 player on our team, and we're going to hope that they can bring it to Sparker. But I think Team Peps got a little bit overwhelmed, didn't really get much use out of a Mantis because it was so hard to try and survive those initial dives that we saw come through from Nevix and Fi. So I'd love to see them move over towards the Gambit here to have like that powerful ultimate in their wheelhouse.
And what is going to be left in the Peps wheelhouse? It's a best of 5, the first best of 5 that both these teams are facing. So a lot more of this map pool we'll get to explore. And Peps, well, what's on the menu next? We'll find out after this.
Felicia's here to steal a win. Good fortune for me. Cat's claws. Me, ouch. Let's make a deal. Peekaboo. Hup. So stealthy.
That's how we do it, Catwalk.
Eat your heart out, strange. Deliciously dangerous.
Unleash the Shanty.
Now's the perfect time to strike. You crossed my path. Good boy, Petey. Meow. You crossed my path. Gotcha.
Watch out, they're headed our way! Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Welcome back. I mean, that is a case study as to why you don't let the best team in the world have Elsa and Daredevil together. Maybe focusing a little bit more on the Gambit, specifically, is that they play that and then maybe ban some of the like the other heroes that you can have aside from the accessories, like the Rogue and then maybe the Star-Lord as well. We've seen a couple teams have success with that, but unfortunately, we didn't see that this past map. Looking at the players, though, that were popping off on the side of Virtus Pro, we didn't mention it too much here, Lemon. Finzi looked insane.
Absolutely, and it's like there's so much to highlight on the Virtus Pro side, from Nevix being able to command so much attention while surviving, to Sparker, I mean Apex Predator when anything even comes remotely his direction, to Fi continuously hunting down Pink, to Finzi gets to sit pretty and output pretty consistent damage. I think he was third most amount of damage on his team, and Finzi is flexible as ever to work in tandem with Nevix. And when you have a strong Venom player, you need a strong secondary that can anchor objectives. And when you go to a convoy map like Yggdrasil's Path, it's going to be important to see what Finzi does.
Leg Day, my question for you, and a lot of people in chat were having the same question as I was reading along. Do we focus on the Mantis again for Peps here? That's what they did last time. They faced off against Alter Esports, and they didn't really play it much in the last map.
I'm not gonna understand. Like I was doing a little bit of a Protoss glaze. I think Protoss is a fantastic Mantis. I just don't think it lasted for very long. Like I feel like if you get the Gambit in your Protect, in your ban phase, then you inherently you force a reaction to the Gambit Protect. You need the Rogue to be banned from you. You need the Star-Lord sometimes to be banned away from you. And often you're going to see the Invis banned away from you to try and get rid of one of the most, let's say, bloated kits of two strategists between Gambit and Invisible Woman. So at that point, you could force like that kind of reactive banning from Virtus Pro rather than kind of being able to pick and choose what they want. You can try and get rid of that Daredevil. You could get rid of the Vanguard pool in particular. Vanguard pool's a great ban when you're playing the Gambit, because the Banhammer affects Gambit every time he misses one of his cards out of his 3 spread. It's a fantastic way to try and deal with that ultimate. And you know what? We got to get Fincy off of that Vanguard pool, because he's just like, he's quietly putting out so much damage to facilitate these frags.
Oh, it's so tough, because if you do let the Gambit through and target the Elsa, then Fincy's just going to be playing Rogue instead. And Fincy was like the best Rogue player we have like seen out there like time and time again. And I'm expecting some like big things from this, or not Fincy, excuse me, Nevix on their side. Fincy still played pretty good on like the Doctor Strange when they needed to for their squad, so could see some of that come out. But we do have to see something different from Team Peps if they do want to take down the Kings. Virtus Pro reign supreme, one map at a time. We'll see if they continue their tear here.
It's best of 5, Lemon. We've still got some legs in this series yet, and Team Peps have time to learn and adapt. As we head into our ban phase here, I wonder where we're going to see a... Yep. Team Peps have been reading chat. You know what? No more of that. No more.
And it's the mental that I'm really curious about for Peps. At what point, like, are we getting negative? Did you think you were going to lose before the series started at this point of the game, or do you accept the loss like after it happens? And Yggdrasil's Path, I like this choice out of Peps. This was the last map that they won before entering playoffs. It looked very good against Alter Esports. I said they weren't a Venom team, but they started to convince me with IMLK and how good he looked on the Venom, especially Pink getting MVP on the Phoenix. They run a lot of the triple strat here usually, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. I mean, Peps have shown their cards and VP haven't.
You know, I'm not going to be mad about the Mantis. Like, I'm like a parent at Christmas right now. Like, if I buy you an expensive toy and you play with it consistently, I'm not mad. But if I get you the RC car that cost $4,000 and you play with it for 2 weeks and then you're done, I'm going to be mad. So I better see some Mantis play out of Team Peps here.
Right. And there's just no tape on VP when it comes to Yggdrasil's Path. And Peps is about, okay, this is the most recent match we've won. Let's go back to what we know and hopefully get what we need out of the pick ban, which is aiming for the triple strat. And at least you have the Mantis part of that equation. That's what Protoss was so good at. And 6, I was very surprised to see him on the Ultron in that match against Alter Esports, because he was like the big carry duelist. And then that slowly became Pink. But Pink got kind of sacrificed to the Wolves last map. So if Pink is not on his A game, then we got to switch who we're investing to if we're Team Peps.
Okay, Team Peps might well have that investment locked up here if they protect the Ultron. I'm surprised to not see the Vanguard Deadpool ban come out this time around, but seems like it's going to be... it's just something that they've chosen to deal with. As we've said before, with Virtus Pro, you kind of pick your poison. There's no real good draft against them, I think.
Last ban over here, and yeah, you don't get to see Ultron protects too often, but Team Peps need to have a comfort pick. Usually they're fine at adapting, but the best looks are going to be on their first game plan around the triple strat and trying to deny any kind of Phoenix or Elsa. Again, going after the duelists is a very good idea to go up against VP, so that they have to go to their tertiary duelists, like a Punisher or like a Daredevil. That's clearly still open, so it'd be funny to see VP have to change it up.
Yep, there's the Star-Lord for Sparker, which means that Raging Royal Legend is going to be on the table between the Gambit and the Star-Lord. That's something that needs to be rebuffed. You could usually maybe answer that with something like a Meteor M if Frankie Boxing wants to stand on business on the Magneto. It's been a while since Magneto has been as ubiquitous as he was in times previous, but now Nevix, as Vodable pointed out in our pre-show spiel, is one of the most impressive rogue players we've seen thus far, especially when buoyed by that team-up.
And when Rogue puts you on your back, it's also very good at punishing teams out of position, players who are overextended. So Team Peps got to be able to bail each other out, especially when you have 2 flyers of the Star-Lord and the Ultron. It's going to be important to have a good hit scanner, someone that can reach, someone that can have good gap close. And Team Peps maybe sniping with a Black Widow out the gates, but not expecting that to stick. And if anything, we don't get to see a Hela too often. Is this going to be the actual rollout here for Team Peps? Fincy will be glad to greet all of these shots with his shield up, and VP can just cower around the corner, worst case. Team Peps just don't want to be spawn held. Now it's the Star-Lord, and of course, the triple strat with Ultron.
Yeah, the triple strat with the Ultron, gonna make sure that everyone's gonna be powering up their chosen avatar. Pink versus Sparker here, but remember that Pink is gonna have a lot less strategy behind the ultimate when it comes to combining it with one of their strategists.
Just some posturing here for Team Peps. You do have a bit of a split between VP, and Frankie Boxy got down to half health, so Team Peps couldn't really take advantage of the split, and if anything, Peps are getting punished.
Oh, Fincy looking towards the back. The charged greatsword is active. Baby Bat and Protoss both taken down by the mighty swings of a Claymore of Eric Lyncher.
Team Peps walked into the trap rather than being able to punish Virtus Pro in that moment. And walking with sword, yeah, walking him like a dog. Peps got to take to the skies, and, well, now the Angela is part of this. There's a nice flank angle to the right here from your POV. So you can push these Vanguards into the line of fire.
Okay, Frankie Boxing finally has made some penetration in towards the back here, just keeping Fincy's head on a swivel, consistently worrying about that Assassin's Charge, bringing him out of the position. A damage-boosted Rage of Ultron here from 6, looking towards the back. Fire Ray to try and dance out in their own rage as well. And it seems like 6 has been able to gain too much off the back of that ultimate, despite the lack of real response from Virtus Pro for much of that time. IMLK was a little bit overextended and got taken down the door with Dreedro.
Virtus Pro, it's great spacing yet again. You see the approach of the Angela, the Venom, whatever it's going to be, and they'll back up all the way towards the end of the point. It's just how far do Team Peps want to reach, and what kind of counter does Virtus Pro have in store? Now it's the Raging Royal Flush. Virtus Pro haven't had to sweat. Now here's the Meteor M.
Okay, the Meteor M, great answer for the incoming damage. It was blocked out there by Frankie Boxing, was just standing in front of Magneto, making sure there was no target, but the shield of Angela to try and deal with this one. Pink around the back, sparking out with the Raging Royal Legend, buoyed up by the Raging Royal Flush of Saipe inside of the Heavens Retribution. There's nothing but pain to be found for Peps as IMLK is laid down on the ground, given a gentle kiss goodnight, and Team Peps are down to a minute and a half.
There was good initial pressure from the Galactic Legend of Pink. You had Virtus Pro in the tiny room, but you didn't see enough of a Vanguard presence to keep them there. And Angela's not exactly like the anchor Vanguard, the one that's going to sit there and tank. She's creating opportunities, not really sustaining space. And IMLK on the Venom isn't doing that either. So this is a purely engaged comp from Team Peps, but they're not fully getting clean team wipes. So now Virtus Pro are back like they've never lost the payload.
Okay, a lot of pressure here onto Fincy. It needs to be taken away by Dreedro. Moving forward with a Soul Resurgence. But look at IMLK. So many tendrils attached to members of Virtus Pro, but the Heartbreaker in the midst of all of it. Nevix is trying to shut down any ultimates here and find our season opening. The Rage of Ultron declared, the counterpart taken down. Strategist after strategist fall before the imperious gaze of Phi.
Yeah, you got multi-eliminations from Finzy last fight. Now it's Phi with the Rage of Ultron. Anything Virtus Pro bring out, they will get impact out of. And silver lining for Peps as well. They're out of ultimates. They're about to get the Meteor M, though, and it's not like there's a Galactic Legend to worry about. Team Peps got to maximize the push. Would be a long shot to try and get a cap here on the first point, but they'll do what they can.
IMLK already fairly low, but looking in towards the back. Nice dive onto Dreedro. Frankie and IMLK finally get together, but 6 is going to be the casualty. The trade out for that. It won't take too much longer for 6 to respawn, though, and they are quite close to their own spawn here. So Team Peps, their reinforcements are going to allow them to win a fight of attrition. IMLK has to back out temporarily, and now here comes the re-aggression. The Raging Royal Legend looking for a target, catches one respawning. Everyone's hiding away, but they need to stay on the cart. Sparker goes up against their counterpart. There's no help for Pink. Sparker guns them down in the streets, and the streets are saying that Ursa Major currently is shining in the sky.
Not much done on the offense there. Can't blame it. There's a big difference in Vanguards here just on the choices. Virtus Pro, even when things get a little hectic, they will always trade. Like, I like Frankie. Okay, you try to trade out with one of the strats. That's totally worth it for Peps. They have closer respawns, so it's gonna the Peps picks matter more in that moment. But Virtus Pro just sent their Vanguards to sit on the payload, so Peps got no progress from the aggression, from the pressure they created. So despite Peps even having small wins here and there, it never really got progress from the payload. It never even got close to the end of the point. So it's just really good awareness of the Virtus Pro Vanguards, especially the trust that they have in each other, that even when they're down a strat, they're still gonna pull through.
I get hope for the remainder of this series, though. We saw IMOK and Frankie finally manage to coalesce onto a singular dive and take out Dredro. They put all of their Vanguard resources into it, but like it starts with a single frag, right? You turn a frag into a fight, you turn a fight into a point into a map. Virtus Pro, though, for now, are looking very perfect on this map. They didn't even play the close hold that they used to, which was a 3-3 based around what's currently at the center of your screen, that side room on the left-hand side.
Peps bringing out the emergency stall composition. Usually people do it with more Vanguards in tow. Now it's the triple strat. And it's going to be important for Pink now on the Vanguard. Oh yeah, they do have the triple Vanguard there. Pink is going to have to anchor better than ever. You're basically fighting for a flawless defense, which is going to be difficult to do against a team like Virtus Pro. At least Nevix is on the Venom, so you can just kind of focus on what's in front of you and also what's in the air a little bit.
Soft dive from IMOK there, just trying to force out some manner of resources in response to their frenzied arrival. Protoss losing out on doppelgangers and losing out on the Adam Warlock as well. A massive pick onto 6 to begin with, at least for Cocoon Revival will bring him back because Team Peps know there are no second chances at defeat here. The second they lose control of the cart, they're going to be so close to being taken down. Frankie Boxing actually catching a melee there from Fi as he needs the remainder of the team to step up here and help alleviate some of the pressure. In and out with IMOK, Pink wraps around the outside as the Banhammer is delivered, and Protoss now has access to the God of Mischief if they want to try and go for a resurrection courtesy of Adam's ultimate. It's going to be Sparker opening up though. Here we go straight away. Protoss manages to get a hold of the Eternal Bond. That should be enough for the remainder of Team Peps to survive Sparker's onslaught.
Peps don't want to overextend because any pick for Virtus Pro could spell the defeat, as Virtus Pro just need one good push and they will win the map.
Oh, the dance with the stellar shift in towards the back. Yet another Eternal Bond, but Team Peps, can they be shut down?
Oh.
A nice bubble goes that way, but Fincy's just gone bowling. Frankie bowling. Oh, you got to see Fincy bowling, mate. That's going to be Frankie going on down. IMOK up against the world, but it's a good knockback coming through from Saipe, instantly cleansing all of the negative effects. And Team Peps are feeling plenty of negative effects here, as Saipe didn't even need to use the Raging Royal Flush. Instead, lays his hand down and says, meet me at map 3.
It was a good attempt at the shield there from Frankie on the Magneto. It's either the shield like 1 second came down or the Meteor M flew slightly above the shield. I just can't believe Finzy still got that. Sparker, another MVP without dying once, by the way. Virtus Pro is just that team and they'll beat you on any map pick, only suffering 1 death as a team. Virtus Pro, you're wondering if they could still bring this level of firepower into playoffs. Were the underdogs going to step up and try to punch up? And for now, Peps are looking down the barrel of a quick series unless they got something else up their sleeve for the next map pick.
It's like going against VP is always rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nevix 22-0, dropping a bunch of frags. Sparker, of course, being able to use the Raging Royal Legend. It was just so difficult to try and deal with the strategists that Team Peps had in their wheelhouse there, as the Rage of Ultron, fairly useless against the Galactic Legend. You only get 50 HPS. You can't really direct any of your healing onto yourself during that. And honestly, for Team Peps, like they're just taking this as the experience as it comes. They're building up towards their dives as well. We're seeing IMOK and Frankie Boxing get on the same page for going after Dredro.
And whoever wins the series faces Na'Vi. Whoever loses goes up against Fire Strays. And based on that direction, it's going to be exciting to see VP versus Na'Vi. And Na'Vi's ready to face anybody. And Fire Strays took a heavy loss earlier on. But Team Peps, I'm going to be excited to see if they still have some hope and they still have something else that we haven't seen out of them. And they have one final map pick unless they want to do a reverse sweep, so don't go anywhere.
Watch out, they're headed our way. the amazing Spider-Man!
The hunt is on. 1,000 gods!
You know, Leg Day, I feel like there's going to be some discussion in the locker room for Virtus Pro, for Dredro, and saying, why did you go down? Why did you not give us the perfect map? We could have all stayed alive the entire time. I'm sure they're clowning on him in the end. I mean, all smiles all around for Virtus Pro in the player games that we had there. Shout out to production, by the way, for adding that here for playoffs specifically. Team Peps, though, on the other side of things, Ranking Boxing, getting that one elim, trying to lead the charge for their team, and it felt like comp-wise, they still had things going for them. It's just maybe the ban and protect phase still not in their favor, Levin.
Yeah, letting the Raging Galactic Legend, whatever you guys call it, come out. At least the one thing that has been consistent has been Six, getting the most amount of damage, or at least this time the second, because he went to Adam. But Six has been the bright point here of Peps when it comes to someone who can make the big plays, or at least put out the damage. Frankie, I mean, trading out with the strat was probably the best opportunity Peps could have had, but it's just the go sign. And it's how do you approach this series mentally when things, you just don't, it's an uphill battle, but you don't even have your climbing shoes on, you know? So Peps will choose to go to Central Park, where there can be some shenanigans that get pulled out on maps like this against top teams.
Could say they were trying to ice skate uphill or something of that sort.
Yeah.
Central Park here specifically, though, as we were talking about Leg Day, this is the map that we saw Rad take Virtus Pro the distance all the way into overtime. So I'm curious if that's the mindset that Peps have here, trying to emulate that success and maybe do a little bit better defensively.
I mean, a lot of that came down to Smash Days absolutely popping off to no degree on like the Psylocke was crazy from Smash Days, and I think we've seen good Psylocke play from Six, I believe, on Hall of Jalia, or rather Bin is the Charla. For our Imperial Institute of Science, we saw a little pivot onto a Psylocke. I think it got some reasonable value, but this is also a map where the flyer comp can work out as well, with the Ultron, the Johnny, and the Angela. We saw Shikigami defend against Na'Vi here using that flyer comp, the same comp that we have seen Team Peps bring out on something like Celestial Husk, so that wouldn't be an overly surprising pivot.
Yeah, a couple of different options that they can go for on this one, and this is their last chance. All options exhausted against the world champions. Backs against the wall. Can they pull off at least a map or a reverse sweep? They'll have to do it here and now.
All right. 2-0 to Virtus Pro. Can they make it 3-0? Thus far, their run has been flawless, despite some scares that were given to them by some teams in Group B.
Yeah, there's a lot of tape on Virtus Pro when it comes to this map. When they faced Vision, they went into extra innings. That Rad versus VP game was also one for the books. A lot of these Spark or Psylocke, but that only comes out when you ban like every other duelist, like Star-Lord, like Elsa, like Daredevil. The teams that have done their homework prioritize banning duelists over Virtus Pro, because no matter what you do, that you can't really affect this backline from Virtus Pro too much, besides maybe deny some of the team ups. Yeah, Sparker looked just as good on the Psylocke. Whether it's secondary, tertiary, duelist, he can pull it off, but we'll see what he ends up with on Central Park, because like you said, the Flyers are very strong here.
All right, and finally, Team Peps leading into the Gambit. Doesn't quite work with the Flyer comp, unfortunately. But that does mean they're going to have an easier time running those dual strategists, and this might force Virtus Pro to have a little bit of chasing ban. Like we see already, the Loki is out. We might see the Rogue simultaneously banned out for both teams here. I'm not sure if IMLK or Frankie Boxing are particularly confident on the Rogue, but they know that Nevix is very confident on the Rogue, so that needs to be taken out.
I'm worried about Virtus Pro starting on defense too. This is a very defensive-sided point to start off on. So, I mean, Peps, they chose this map despite not playing it in the regular preseason matches, probably because they cooked something up special in scrims. But based on this being their second map pick, this is going to be a Hail Mary play to force the reverse sweep. So Peps are good at getting out of spawn. They'll have the special picks for that, but it's getting into the fortress that is Central Park, the convergence point, that there's so many high grounds for the defenders. There's a choke point that favors group players. There's a lot that Virtus Pro can throw at them to make it so Peps don't even cap the point.
Okay, the Mantis out of rotation. This does mean that maybe there's a world where we see Phi re-emerge on the Daredevil, but they aren't going to have access to the Rogue. I think that might be IMLK's wheelhouse. I don't know if I've seen a huge amount of it thus far from Team Peps.
Yeah, it's probably something that they've practiced and, like you said, not something they run a ton of. I mean, their Vanguards have been fluctuating to a lot of different picks. IMLK, even from the Vanpool to the Venom to kind of around those kind of more... a bit of Rogue with Frankie Boxing's Angela on Midtown Convoy, for example, but only if they have the Gambit. So, I think Team Peps just have to rally morally to try and get back into this and at least go out kicking and screaming.
At the risk of getting banned by the mods in chat, they need a Peps talk. Are we anti-puns here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might be anti-puns. Lock me up.
We need a bit of
throw away
humor.
the
You know
key.
what? Yeah. Throw it out.
Some a ban like they. If anyone wants a job casting Marvel Rivals Ignite,
Oh, God. In this economy, there's going to be a lot of hands. So, Virtus Pro, I mean, this is where you got wiggle room to experiment, not even show all the cards up your sleeve when you're in this good of a position in the series, but nothing that you're like, oh my God, Virtus Pro, write that down. This is like, Virtus Pro could run any composition like that you want. So right now, it's going to be the 2 Vanguards, 2 Duelists, and 2 Strats. Cool to see Sparker on the Phoenix, too. It goes well with the name, right?
yeah, I'm very excited to see Team Peps roll out with this composition, though. Having access to that Raging Royal Legend, I think is definitely going to give them a great way of trying to hunt down Saipe. What they have to do is be very careful of tracking Saipe's cooldown on Bayou Bash to make sure he can't get behind cover before a good angle is found by Pink.
There's just good spacing from Virtus Pro, even from Yggdrasil's path. They know how to give up space and to retake it. They play the tug of war so well, and Brute Walls, you see that IMLK is looking for those isolations, and Virtus Pro are just playing slightly out of reach, where you're not able to fully block off or really affect Virtus Pro with this group.
Saipe giving that Guardian Shield for a little bit of additional survivability, but I think some ground has been taken here by Pink. However, may not know that the remainder of their team has already backed off here due to the damage that Spark is doing. Needs a rescue. The remainder of Team Peps move in to secure the space that was bought by Pink, and now in towards the back. Big debuff onto Baby Back coming through from the Banhammer. The perfect timing from Nevix. Before Fincy was dangerous on it. Wait till you see Nevix.
Nevix didn't miss a shot on Baby Bat. Like, he just didn't even have, like, a reaction. And then when the Banhammer's on top of you, there's really not much you can do. What a flank and what a backline pressure created there from Nevix. Just when Team Peps were trying to support Pink going in.
Okay,
Oh.
Spark is just having a giggle now. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's having a bit of fun with it for this one. Frankie Boxing down as well. IMLK does punish fire. Like it's not that free low. You can't do that. We are gonna punish you.
Just when Team Pep started to have a groove, you were getting Pink into a position to attack. Team Peps was starting to take space. All of a sudden, Nevix is in your backline. And all of a sudden, Sparker is trying to clip on you. So, Protoss making the call, though.
All right, up comes the Royal Legend. Team Peps roll on forward now with the help of Protoss. Cypher's still 10% away from it, and Dredro has left behind an invisible boundary. Now Sparker on the angle, doesn't really want to commit to this thus far, knows that Daredevil is just playing around the backhand side. Cypher temporarily antied, ready to go forward now with the Royal Legend. You can see that Fire is in a good position to try and shut this one down. Fincy above it all, extra damage. Can they crush? Baby back, yes they can. A twisted meaty salad where two players of Peps once stood. Virtus Pro shut down the push.
Oh, and the stagger does not help when Pink is in Narnia. And I think also IMLK didn't place the Groot walls at the entryways. You weren't able to fully close off the backliners. If anything, you were giving them even more cover to play around. So IMLK needs to place these walls with intention. And it's hard when Virtus Pro are just so out of reach, just slightly out of the range of the Groot wall isolation. Tries to create a safe base, but there is no safe space when you're going up against VP.
Yeah, VP's spacing pretty sublime at the moment, just staying well out of the poke range here of Frankie Boxing, so they don't get comboed. In comes the End Song Inferno, baby back down to the Sonic Pursuit of 5. Trades out for Dredro, so all's even Stevens here, as there is some play towards the back. Pink managed to take out Saipe, finally. Now coming up close and personal to a Magneto. Daredevil should be able to win out that duel, indeed they do, but where is the portal? Dredro's already summoning it.
All right, this is to contest the final tick. All Peps need to do is zone them off enough, but they're farming this Groot. IMLK's in trouble.
Sparker for the first time on Wolverine, potentially, and that's going to be the Raging Royal Flush. Saipe wins out their duel against Pink. Unbelievable stuff from the strategist player. Sparker knows that Frankie's back here and has answered the call to slay the Magneto. Dredro overwhelmed, yes. Now who's going to come and keep this point contested? It's going to be Nevix with Deadpool in your area. Give him a damage reduction and a fire rate as well. He's gunning them down in the streets. This man is guilty, I tell you, guilty.
And the gates of the Central Park will close soon. And Fitzy had to play Luna just so that you could portal in. He hits the freeze on Pink, and he could not move at all. One last rally here for Peps for the final tick.
Isolation here of Dredro as well. Needs to be chased on down by Pink as he lets the Devil out in towards the back line. But the healing's going to be good, and the peel is going to be better. Nevix takes him down with a dual katanas moving in. Sparker down to a last stand. Fi's caught in place by the strangling prison. There are many players caught with him, but the freeze is good as well. Sub-Zero, ice cold in the veins of Virtus Pro. Winter has come.
About 88% captured there for Peps, so you do create a win condition. And to try and stop the floodgates of Virtus Pro, who are, like you said, having a bit of a giggle. And if they're trying to hit clips, I nailed the accent too. Yeah. I mean, Finzy's on Luna, so I'm kicking back. I'm stoked, and just because Pink was starting to work this backline a little bit. They were not giving enough respect to Pink, and you have to earn it. And he started to harass the backline. He had removed one strategist, and then Finzy hits the freeze of a lifetime, and you're just cooked at that point if you're a Daredevil getting Luna frozen. So VP, the way that they can overlap their heroes, change up to something that they've never played, at least on paper before, and still do well is so impressive.
I mean, we've seen Dredro be a victim a couple of times now for Virtus Pro, so we can only assume he's getting kicked in the gap between preseason and stage 1. F in the chat for my boy, saluting emoji.
Now it's about having the kind of same perfect defense that you tried to do on Yggdrasil's path, but trying to do it on Central Park. It is more defenders heavy. Surprised that you don't have IMLK on the group, but when you have the Gambit team up available, it's a no-brainer. It's not as easy of a win condition because Rogue, it's a fighting game character, so you gotta pull up a lot of combos and sweat to try and get value out of Rogue sometimes. And Groot better in the neutral potentially here on Central Park, but see how good the team up will be for Protoss. Every fight has to be perfect here for Peps.
Team Peps, they're playing this high ground angle here, but you got to be careful about the force physics from Drive. A real danger when you play this high ground is you might get yourself pulled off into the mix to Virtus Pro and have no real means of disengagement. Look at those sparks occurring here for Sparker. We saw this happen with Terra before. Oh, right on top of the Jeff. It's a great pivot from File to the second strategist. And there's Fincy. The siege has broken the gates of Constantinople, and the bastion of the Byzantium Empire falls before the bears. Virtus Pro will enjoy their new habitat, and Team Peps aren't even bothering to TP. They know that this one's over for now, and they're going to have to run it back in the lower bracket.
Yeah, they gave up. There was 2 people that respawned that did not swap to Strange when that could have been a portal play. And I think it's good. It was a good effort from Peps, but not marking Fi on the Daredevil. How was he just... He's not invisible. He just walked in and was able to just jump on this backline. And you got to be able to mark anybody from Virtus Pro and where they are at all times, but this was not a peak day from Peps, but it was a peak day out of Finzy and friends from Virtus Pro, who will advance to the next round and face Na'Vi, which that is going to be a match for the history books. And looking at the stats, I mean, pretty good around the board here for Virtus Pro, who suffered, of course, more deaths than Yggdrasil's Path, but hey, it was nice to see Sparker on the Phoenix. He looked like he was having a lot of fun.
Hey, you know what? 6 pulling out 4 final hits as well out of 5 eliminations. Not too bad at all. Like, I think Team Peps are definitely a team with a lot of potential. But Virtus Pro have been together for like, what, a year and a half now? It's going to take a long time before you can catch up to their synergy and the cleanliness of their macro calling. And Team Peps are a much newer roster that's only recently been constructed, so there's a lot of room for this team to grow.
I think a lot of people expected Peps versus Fire Strays in that lower bracket, and that was the most kind of tumultuous prediction to make. Half of us had Peps losing, half of us had Fire Strays losing, so that's going to be a better match for Peps, a more level playing field. But it's how you're taking this first initial loss. If you're both Fire Strays and Peps, you kind of got knocked in your head pretty good, and this is where friendships and relationships between teammates are really being tested. And you know, sign off for the night and come back the next morning with a better game plan, because this all has to happen within the weekend. So there is not a huge break to try and get back on your high horse.
Let's bring Vodable back in to discuss this matchup. As now that it's 3-0, we have to see what old Vod is thinking about this one. Are you convinced that EMEA is the best region in the world, Vod?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm convinced that Virtus Pro are still the best team in the world, especially based on what we have seen so far. VP continuing their dominance, but again, they have had not the top level of competition to face off against yet. That's the big caveat that we've seen so far. And Na'Vi, they have some things that they can cook up. They've been the most recent team, a little bit of a different roster, of course, to take a map off of them, and maybe domination might be their domain to do that yet again. But looking back at this match and this matchup specifically between Virtus Pro and Peps, Peps have a lot that they can take home from this. And I think the biggest homework that they can do from now until tomorrow is perfect their ban and protect phase. If you cannot nail that, sometimes maps are lost directly as a result to how the ban and protect phase went. And I mean, it felt like, at least for the first 2 maps, that's how it went.
Absolutely. I mean, we should never be seeing Sparker on Elsa. That has to be a perma ban, and you tried to switch it up from letting him play Elsa to letting them play Gambit and really try to test how practiced Virtus Pro are on all these different compositions and how they roll out. The win conditions are different, but Peps also didn't feel like they even knew their own win conditions. And at this point, the longer the series went, the less energy, the less hope that even the team had. And there were some players that definitely tried to step up and to create those opportunities. But when you had that small window to try and win against VP, you had to engage perfectly and at the perfect time. And not all of Peps were on the same page.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit of marketable improvement from this series into the next for Peps. Talk about Virtus Pro, I mean, continuing their dominance as expected here leg day. We saw some great looks from them. Standout performance, though, I'd say at the end here, it was like Fincy. Fincy looking so strong on the mag, looked great at the first series too, didn't go down at all. It just feels like you can pick one player on this team and they all have like highlight play after highlight play after highlight moments. If you just go back into the esports aspect in game, you can watch the replays and see everything there too. There's so much to learn from this team.
Yeah, Fincy's great at like being a stable genius as well, you know? Like, bro needs no real resources sent his way. Like, if Spark is going to go play a wild off angle, or Fi needs Nevix to leave the other Vanguard alone so that they can go and bully a backline, Fincy's very like, okay, I'm gonna get no resources right now, so I'm gonna easily rotate all of my own resources in order to just make sure that I'm not gonna be a liability to the team while they pop off elsewhere.
Well, speaking of someone who popped off this series and everyone before, we do have Nevix from Virtus Pro to round out our day on the interview block. So welcome into the show, Nevix. How are you guys feeling after another dominant victory in the Rolodex of wins you've had so far?
Hello. I think we're feeling pretty good. The meta is a bit shaky though, so there's a couple of question marks and strategies still to figure out. But overall, we're feeling pretty good.
And you go up against this team Peps, who are, figuring out their own identity. But one strong part is this is an Angela-based team at times. So the kind of your approach to facing the Angela or this kind of team changed at all? What was your approach to facing the Angela, or just what Peps were bringing out?
Today, I think we had stronger characters on a lot of maps. And Angela is kind of falling out of the meta a bit. She is pretty good when you have like an Ultron Mantis, but she's pretty hard to make work in this current meta. So I think we were confident through every map.
Staying on the current meta, we saw Team Peps quite a few times prioritize grabbing the Mantis as their first protect instead of a Gambit. How do you feel that Mantis slots into the current meta, and how do you play against Mantis to try and mitigate her?
I think Mantis first protect is not that strong because you need something to pocket, right? So you need those other stronger characters for her to really be good, I think. So I'm not a big fan of that. I do think Mantis as a second secure is really strong. That's why she's banned a lot, because if you have an Elsa pocketed by Mantis or Diddy or something else, she becomes really strong. But yeah, I think we were confident with the draft.
Honestly, not too much to critique from you guys, specifically, at least on our side of things, in terms of this matchup. But going up into your semi-final matchup that you have up next, Na'Vi, they're the team who took you guys at least a map off in the grand finals last year. Now with a little bit of a different roster. What are the thoughts going into that series, the preparation? How are you guys feeling leading into that after a relatively easy run so far?
We looked at them today, like their match, and we can see they're struggling a little bit, but with the same things we do with this current meta, because there's a lot of different matchups and comps you need to understand and be on the same page, and you have to do quick swaps on your comps, otherwise you kind of just fall behind and the game snowballs. But I think I'm pretty confident that we can beat them, and I think we're starting to figure out the meta more, which is great because there's so many strategies right now that it's hard to keep track on. Like, we cannot use a one-trick dive anymore. It's pretty hard. But overall, I think we're confident going to that like long series.
Love to hear it, especially with how complex the meta has evolved to be. It's not as simple, cut and dry as some of the previous seasons were. Well, we're going to leave you at that, Nevix, to celebrate with your team. Congratulations again on the win, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.